felt like, I don't know if that's a thing or not, but I was like, how can you get more sleep and yet you're like more tired than when you get less sleep?
Yeah.
I don't even understand how that whole thing works. So, morning, Drew.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
We're going to have fun audio because I'm at a Starbucks and you're on the road. I didn't make it to the house. I was trying to get to the house by 7:30 and I didn't make it. So it's a Starbucks stop. So bed literally at 7:30 last night. And I didn't get up until 5. So I even slept in a half an hour. And I'm like, yeah. So I was like, I think my soul's tired. I don't know how you give your soul a nap, but.
Yeah. Well, the weather change didn't help. And over here, it's super windy. That kept me up all night.
It was windy here last night, but now this morning it's already raining and gloomy and this snow's coming in. And so
yeah,
I'm excited about the weather. We need the moisture so bad.
But that's not supposed to be until like late this afternoon, evening, right? The snow?
It's already raining this morning here.
No, it was
raining. Yeah, it's raining.
No.
There's a little snow up north here. Starting.
Yeah, I just see rain, but who knows? So you get a coffee shop background noise. Is it super bad?
No, it's not too bad.
Okay, it's hard to.
No more than what I'm on with Dee, and she farts and things.
Oh my god! I would never.
Right?
I'm like, is there a wind turbine there? Where are you at?
It's all that protein.
Exactly right. Well, I chased off the guy next to me, so my guess is that it will be quiet. So I gave him the evil eye until he left. No, I'm kidding. I didn't. So, well, good morning. We're glad that you're with us. Whether you are tired or your soul is tired, we are glad that you're here. So I was thinking this morning about compliments because we try to do stuff that happens in daily life in the show and just kind of talk through it. And I always find it fascinating. I come into Starbucks, I'm like totally exhausted, look like death today, and the sweet little lady who's taking my order goes, "Wow, your makeup looks great. Your eyebrows are on point." And I was like, "Oh, thanks. That's why I'm always late, because the eyebrows." No. But I'm always late. But I just thought, do you guys, I probably should give more compliments than I do because I think things, but I don't say them all the time. How do you guys rate in giving other people compliments?
It's hard for me because I don't like getting compliments, so I don't want to make somebody feel uncomfortable, I guess.
Well, and in today's environment, you can tell a girl she's pretty and they're like, the whole Me Too, sexual harassment.
Right.
It's just,
I think there might be a little line between you're pretty and #Me Too, but
no, not always. Sometimes they're like, well, would you tell a guy he's pretty? Like, why are you telling me I'm pretty? Like, what's different? Like,
yeah,
it's true. We probably don't say to men like you're very handsome, right? It's more of a woman thing, I think, sometimes to get that. But I don't know. I mean, I'm sure.
No, people take things to the extreme. You think it's innocent, and people take it to the extreme.
Yeah, I'm sure. Has anyone ever told, from a guy standpoint, Drew, you or Chip, you, have they ever walked up and said you're very handsome, just as a passerby or compliment?
No, people think I look like a lesbian.
But you're my giant lesbian.
They're like, wow, ma'am, you're very handsome.
That was only that one time at that Mexican restaurant.
It's the moves.
Guy.
This is why I'm telling you I need a sports bra. It's the moves.
Oh my gosh. I just got a new one that you have to zip and strap and hoist.
That's what I need one that flattens them down, so it has to be, hefty and tight.
I think it is a double standard though, because I think girls get compliments from guys a lot verbally, but I don't think we do it in exchange. I don't think we're very good at that.
Well, the funny thing is, if I give a girl a compliment, I usually follow it with, "I'm gay, it's fine." I'm like, I'm not hitting on you, because I don't want them to think I'm hitting on them.
I don't take it that way. I didn't take it that she was hitting on me.
Of course you don't, because you have a lot of.
Because what?
I said, of course you don't.
Well, I don't. I just think it's a compliment. It doesn't mean they want to date you. It's just Hey,
Someone can send you an eggplant pic, and you're like, "Oh, isn't that cute?" You're like, "His intentions are fine. Like he doesn't have bad intentions." Like,
I do not. I kindly say just cease and desist to that behavior.
well,
So,
what you
Drew, how
should say is, you should send those to my friend Chip. No.
right? You're barking up the wrong tree. You're sending those to me, and I don't like them. Drew? How about you? Have you gotten them?
I feel like I'm chipped today. Like I'm kind of in and out. So if you can hear me, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I was only going to say, way back in the day when I was younger and then in uniform, it happened a couple times, but not too frequently.
It happens to me more when I'm at work and in a uniform. So I think people like a
Yeah.
uniform because like, and
Yeah,
then the
you get
women
those.
will be like, "Oh, you're such a handsome man," or like I get a lot of compliments on my hair. I don't.
Well, you and I are going to have to go out and get a uniform of some type.
Start collecting the badge monies.
Right.
When
I'm gonna
Dee
go to
was
the
in
Halloween
prison in that orange uniform, she was very popular.
Turns out orange is my color.
Right. I say I'm going to go to the Halloween store and get a uniform so that I think I think it's sad we're in a society that we're afraid to say nice things to each other
Yeah.
for fear of hurting someone or making someone uncomfortable or retaliation. It's not like you're walking up and going, "Hey, I think you're a moron." I mean, you're walking up and you're saying something kind, and yet we're afraid of that retaliation. Yet on social media, we say mean things all the time. That's become kind of the norm. You know what I mean? So I think it's a little backwards in that. I'm curious, are you comfortable with compliments? Because that was going to be my follow-up is how do you react when people give you a compliment?
No. I've gotten a lot better, but no, it's uncomfortable.
It's not that I'm uncomfortable. I usually think people want something.
You think they're lying to you? Is that what you said?
I think they want something. I think they have ulterior motives.
Okay, that's fair. I always think they're lying. Drew, how about you? How do you take it?
That's a good question. I don't think I tend to think any motives behind it. I just kind of simply thank you and probably pretty poor at it, I guess I would say.
Well, you probably get the most, Sarah. How do you take them?
Say that again, Chip. What?
I said you probably get the most. How do you take them?
No, I don't feel like that. I mean, I disagree. I feel like I get a lot of staring and not a lot of talking. So I think more. I don't know if I scare people because they're just like, I don't know.
Which is why I have to say things to people when I'm with you because they're staring.
Right? I know. They're like, what?
Her eyes are up here, young man.
I think I have gotten better as I've gotten older. I think when I was younger, and it depends upon the setting. A lot of times too, is it is it just very off the cuff? Like, I'm ordering my coffee and she's like, "Oh, your makeup is great. Those eyebrows are on point." It was a real off the, "Oh, thank you," and you move on. I think if someone we were engaged, does that make sense? But if someone walks across an entire store or somewhere to come over and approach you, that's a little bit more sometimes uncomfortable, I feel like, because then my problem is I don't know how to follow it up. I want to go, "Oh, we said hi. There was more to the conversation than that." I thought that's where it ended. I'm not prepared to go past hi. So I got nothing. Does that make sense? So I think when you're engaged with someone or it's a checker or you're holding the door for someone and they say something or someone, I think it's easier to take. For me, I always feel like they're lying though. That's why I thought that's what you said, Chip. Not like they want something. I'm always like, okay, so is my makeup?
Well,
really
I mean, it is the same thing. I assume that they're lying because they have ulterior motives. So.
Fair. Yeah. I don't know. I like how Drew just said, take it at face value, because I don't think I'm good at that. I'm always like,
Well, but Drew's the prettiest one here. So when you're pretty, I mean,
Nice try.
Okay, so
I'm the baldest one.
Why do you not give more compliments? Chip, you said it's because you feel like it's the #MeToo thing. Is that the only reason, or is it something? I always think about it. But
I actually compliment people a lot, but sometimes if they look at me uncomfortably, I feel the need to explain, "Hey, I'm not a threat."
Not a threat.
I'm not a predator.
stranger danger here.
I'm not a predator.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, do you feel like you give compliments, or do you feel like you don't because you don't want to make people uncomfortable because it makes you uncomfortable?
I think it just depends. If I know the person, I think I'm pretty good about compliments. Strangers, not so much, unless it's like, the drunk girls in the bar bathroom type of thing, then we're all best friends. Yeah, then it's easy.
I mean, just yesterday I saw one of my friends and I was like, "You're rocking that Paul Bunyan look, girl." I was like, I mean,
You guys are terrible. Terrible. What do you compliment more on? Someone's appearance or material things like their clothing or shoes or attributes? So
when you've bought your appearance, that is material as well.
Yes, you could. Sure. You can go there. But appearance, more, again, material things like a purse or a bag or shoes or a car, or do you go more?
Just a forewarning to viewers, if this dog pukes next to me again today, there might be a murder on camera.
Well, I hope you put it on mute.
Watch out for PETA.
If you send me hate mail, I will happily send you pictures of him puking every single morning
I
when he
don't
drinks
want
water.
it. Thank you. I don't
No,
want it.
do not send me hate mail for saying that.
Oh.
We're gonna get shadow banned. PETA.
So which one do you do more of? Which is more comfortable for you? Do you feel like?
I like authentic compliments, I think, if you're complimenting someone. But if someone's wearing a cute outfit or something, I mean, I do appreciate good fashion. And I'm obsessed with shoes. So
when you say authentic, though, it could still fit into one of those three categories, right? Or are you saying more about the attributes authentic? Like it's...
I mean, attributes, like material things are one thing, but if someone's genuinely like very pretty or handsome or, has great eyes or great ass, like...
Hey, you have a
that
great ass.
compliment coming in Starbucks.
I mean, like when I see Drew, I just smack him on the ass, and that's my compliment of saying, "Hey,
That's how we do it."
So
Yeah, but see, we don't have to say anything. It's just a mutual.
Yeah,
I
so,
was gonna say, I've been around you guys a lot, and I've never seen that interaction yet, so I'm missing it. Must be earlier in the day. Dee, how about you?
It's the
Which
whole
one
good
do you
game
go
thing.
for? Say it again, Drew.
It's the whole good game thing. Remember Marcus and I talked about it?
Yes, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just when you hold it there too long. It's the 3-second rule.
yeah, that's when he's like, "Okay, you can let go now, Chip."
He just gives you stuff to put in your hands,
Carry these donuts.
right? Anything. Here's a bag. Here's a phone. Just, hands up. Hands up. Dee, how about you? What do you feel like you compliment more?
I think material stuff is easy to kind of like break the ice. But I think I prefer like you have a great sense of humor or things like that are like...
So you give material comments more, but you appreciate the attributes more.
Yeah, I think,
If you tell me I have a great sense of humor, I assume you're saying I'm ugly at the same time.
No, I'm still waiting to hear back from the girl with your HR for your email.
That's awesome.
And you just got friend zoned.
Right? Yeah. She has a great personality. Usually implies that's kind of the which is terrible because that's more important than looks any day. But I don't know why we do say that in that context. So I get it.
Yeah.
That is kind of Drew, how about you? What do you compliment more on, do you think?
It's funny listening to this because I feel like I'm super shitty now because I can't think of anything that I think I struggle in that arena. Not on the, I don't want to do it, but I think I kind of worry about motive, I guess, or what people perceive.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's easy when you're successful to say, hey, that was a great job on that, whatever. But I am really hesitant to comment on somebody's looks or appearance just based on perception of what that could mean.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, women
you're damned
take
if
it
you do,
differently
damned if you
coming from a man. They assume things.
Okay, so it's more of a guy thing that it's uncomfortable then, is what we're saying.
I think
Because
Yeah, it's pretty rare. Like,
saying
I
it.
don't. Yeah, I mean, I was trying to think of pretty rare that I go up to a guy friend of mine and say something about clothing, but it might be accessories or something. Like sunglasses. My buddy had a cool pair of sunglasses he got from Oakley. I was like, hey, those are cool. But I don't know. I think I struggle at it.
I've heard you and Chip talk about shoes. That
Yeah.
was, in fact, one of your first interactions was that Chip, you liked his shoes, right? Or
Right.
opposite, I can't remember, but that was like
Drew's shoe game is on point. So
romance between you guys and your shoes that developed there. I think the problem with the the compliments though is you kind of have to know someone or it's not authentic, right? Because you
Right.
can't really like walk up to someone on the street and be like, "Hey, your IQ's on point." I mean, I don't know that. I don't know if they're funny. I don't know, you know what I mean? So I think it's kind of, I think that's hard when it's just a general compliment to do very specific to that person because you just don't know, right? So I think it's easier to go, and I'm more comfortable again with material things because I think they're just more. It's not a personal opinion. Like I don't want someone to be like, oh, she's just saying that. So I feel like if I say, oh, I like your bag or I like your shoes, I'm only going to say it if it's true. But I feel like that's an easier line. I don't know, for me.
Yeah. Do you feel like you compliment men and women equally?
Oh, good question.
I would say no. That was a really long pause to answer that, but yes, in some cases. So in the attribute section, yes, and in the material section, yeah, I will always say. I mean, you guys know I love men's shoes and watches and stuff like that, like just fashion in general. So I think those things are really easy. Like, hey, like that cap or whatever. But I think to say to someone, you're a handsome man, I think that is not necessarily comfortable to say, or you have pretty eyes or whatever. And again, I don't know why it's a double standard, right? Because I would say it to a girl. So I don't.
That goes. That's
why
a great
would-
example. It goes both ways. Like I was just thinking, like I'm an eyes first and then the smile person, and so like on a woman, I would, that's hard to say because of, again, motive. What is the motive? Just because you have great eyes and a smile doesn't necessarily mean I'm after something. But I wouldn't say that outright unless I knew you or got to know you. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and I think it's it's funny because just this is on a people care podcast, so we can say whatever, I guess. But I also think like that does make an impression, and it does kind of help in the likability factor. I mean, let's be honest, right? If someone shows up and they look attractive or presentable, or they have their A game on, you tend to kind of look at everything in a favorable light with them versus the other, don't you, or no?
Oh
Is
yeah.
that just me that's a judgment person like that? Like if someone comes in and they just they look like a hot mess and they're not very well spoken, I'm going to assume kind of everything along that is in that same boat. I bet
Yeah,
their house is a mess, their car's a mess, and it's probably not true, but in my mind, right?
There actually is a great there's like a gold digger. If you like, there's, I hate to be this way, but it's obviously subjecting women to it, but it's proving kind of your point a little bit, where they do this test where like a guy is like a homeless guy, like totally dresses up like a homeless guy, pushing a cart, whatever, approaches a beautiful woman, and tries to have a conversation with and gets, completely shut down, then runs and changes. Like 2 seconds later, comes back in a Lamborghini, looks all, put together in a suit. And it's a whole different conversation, and it's just, that's sad, but that's how some, not everybody, but pretty shallow
Yeah.
to perceive those things.
Well, sometimes I would like to see it more, not necessarily like in a homeless pushing a cart, because I think there might be a little bit of, I don't know, not necessarily fear, but right, like a little bit of, hey, what's going on here? But maybe someone who is more dressed like a construction worker or a blue collar versus someone who looked like they, are a big CEO role or whatever, because I think that judgment happens all the time, right? Like,
Sure.
Yeah. That's a definite piece. But I don't know. I feel like if there's, chemistry, I don't know, you guys believe in chemistry, that's just right off the bat, the second that you meet someone, that there's either chemistry there or there isn't, or does that come with time?
I think in general, pretty soon if you're going to get along with someone or, yeah.
Yeah, it's a matter of seconds. I think whether you're realizing it or not, you're sizing somebody up in that perspective. And I think you can learn from, maybe you give somebody a chance and depending on how much you're around them, but that instant, you just met somebody at an event, you're going to be more attached to that person that has that instant connection or charisma with you. you could grow with somebody if you had to be, kind of forced to work with or forced to be around, I think, in that regard. But I think there are those instantaneous people that you just automatically go, whoa, and gel with.
I mean, people bring their own energy, and I've met a lot of people who maybe initially I wouldn't have thought were attractive, but then I got to know them and they became attractive.
That's true.
I think, well, that then is that personality quota, right? It levels up, and vice versa, right? I'm sure that everyone has met someone that they think.
Oh, I know a lot of really pretty people that are ugly.
Yeah, and then you know them, and you're like, I don't find you very attractive anymore because you're kind of a jerk. So I think that can play in. But I think the chemistry thing, for at least an initial kind of, I don't know. I think that's real. Like, I think you feel that within seconds of whether or not you kind of maybe gel with someone or not. A lot for me, though, is its sense of humor. So if someone is like funny, I can find really fast I can gel or not gel. If someone doesn't have a good sense of humor, I find it a lot harder to have that vibe with them. Maybe because then I don't know what to talk about or do. So I'm awkward and uncomfortable. So I don't like that. I can't laugh. I don't know what to do. I'm weird. So I don't know. But I think chemistry is huge, though. I think that's, I don't know. I think that's just like, it's even in workplace. It's not even in just in like personal relationships. I think that chemistry is that. It's also like, why do you go to the dentist you go to, or why do you go to a doc that you go to, or why do you go whatever when there are thousands of them out there, right? Or why do you have the real estate person that you have? I feel like everyone is a real estate person right now. Maybe it's just how I feel, but I feel like everyone's a realtor. Like everyone I meet, I'm like, you're a realtor too? Like, I don't even know. I think they're handing those things out. But why do you have the one you have, right? There are millions out there. There's probably one that is less or more commission or whatever. I don't think we're all using our realtor for that purpose, right? For that example, or your dentist.
Right.
Sure.
Like you really like called up with his patients and said, could I get some, due diligence on my dentist? You go for a certain reason and you stay for that chemistry, I think.
My dentist is hot,
so that's the reason. It's the
It's
hot.
he may be completely unqualified, but
I don't even open my eyes at the dentist. Like when I go in there, my mouth opens and my eyes shut. Like I don't even see him. So
I mean, that's how you spend most of your life. So
Chip and I make direct eye contact when they're squirting the water in our mouths.
when they're like spit, I'm like, that's not what I usually do.
You need a bib? You need a bib?
all right. Well, that's not quite the dentist experience I was talking about.
You're going to the wrong dentist.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't. Yeah. Chip's like, my tooth hurts. I don't know why it hurts. He's like, there's nothing wrong with your tooth. Are you sure? Look again. I think there's something wrong.
It's really close. You're going to have to really get in there.
You're not in the right spot. Try again. Oh, did I say that side? I meant that side. I'm sorry. No, I think that's huge. Say it again, Drew.
You got to numb it first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. I think we underestimate chemistry, though. I really do. Like, I think we don't realize how big that plays into that. You feel comfortable with that person, and maybe Drew, to what you and Chip were saying about just awareness of different things, that has to be like a split-second thing, doesn't it? Of you are sizing someone up to see if they're safe or they're not safe, or kind of where your balance is. Because there are some people you meet and you hug them immediately, and there are other people like, I'm not even, you don't even handshake for some reason, and I don't know why that is.
They actually did studies on it, and those of you in front of a computer there could GTS that. But I think it's like 5 seconds. You size somebody up or something, 5 or 7 seconds, internally what you.
D is GTSing that.
And I thought women ironically were more in tune to it. So I thought they were quicker. I could be wrong, but use it in a dating sense or an attractive sense. You know, within the first 5 seconds, whether that person has a chance or not.
Wow, that seems. And Keith says some chemistry takes time. Some is instantaneous, but then it depends upon, are you like in an instant or a long-term relationship or something, a little bit of both? makes sense too. Like that's what you were saying, Chip, a little bit, that some chemistry, maybe you met the person, right? So you had a first impression, but you really didn't get enough time to kind of get to know them enough that you misjudged them.
But doesn't EQ say you make a first impression of someone in like
It's
2
like
seconds?
milliseconds.
Yeah, milliseconds.
Yeah, it's actually Charisma Myth says, might be EQ. I thought it was Charisma Myth. Said it's like it's milliseconds that you just are sizing someone up like that, which then to me goes back to that whole thing about we say, your appearance isn't important or how you come across or eye contact or different things like that. But if we're sized up that fast, then it does make a difference.
But I think as humans, you have to do that because our I was going to say native brain, but that's not the right word. There's a different word for it.
Primitive.
Primitive.
There you go.
Primitive.
Is like, you have to
Survival.
make decisions. Is this safe? Is this unsafe? Is this Sarah doesn't have this, so you're not going to understand this.
Yep.
And so you have to very quickly make those distinctions, and I think we're programmed that way.
7 seconds.
Okay, that was the Google 7 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, so Drew, you were right in there. I thought it was again.
Whoa,
I guess
look
it
at that.
depends on the
That's
source, but
I was right again.
I think it's even sometimes faster than that. I don't know.
Yeah, because I think you're right. I think Charisma Myth says it's like that.
Yeah, it's instant. And I do think sometimes I think about it from this perspective. Why are certain people like William Dafoe? Why is he always the bad guy? Or have you ever thought about like that certain characters, right? Like Tom Cruise is always the good guy. Like very rarely does he ever play a bad guy in a movie. And certain people are stereotyped or cast as the villains or the bad guys just because of their physical appearance. So, right? I mean, how wrong is that? Like, I don't know.
I think that's building on their strengths, though. Like in those contexts, you can be that selective and picky to get what you want, to feature what you want. And some people have those skill sets. But I do agree with you. I think
Tom Cruise playing the penguin on Batman. Like
right. But it's almost like, you have I think that's where, whenever you think of him or not, like The Rock, you look at like at first he came out and he was this big superhero guy. Then he's done like kids movies and comedic movies. And so that skill set, but some just don't have that ability. So they have a strong asset in one area, but not as in the other. And they stay that way.
Well, I think it goes back to what you said, Drew. What are the first things usually that you look at in someone is their eyes? So are our eyes telegraphing I'm safe or I'm not safe? And is that from what? Like you can't control if your eyes are, which way that's right? So
I'm with Drew. I like a strong asset. So.
Well, back in the day, you're either going to get clubbed on the head or not, right? So you had to figure it out real quick.
Yeah, right. But now it's very different. And so I do have that instinct. I know you guys make fun of me. I think I turn it off.
I would walk up to a saber-tooth tiger and be like, oh, how cute.
No, I wouldn't.
Cuddly kitty. He's not going to hurt me.
I'm going to name him Peanut.
Animals I'm a little more adventurous with. But I think because I feel like I'm super judgy sometimes and I try not to be. I mean, let's be honest. We all are. If we say we're not, we're lying because that's just what happens, right? You can't not judge people. I mean, you shouldn't, but I don't even understand how that works. Like, well, you shouldn't judge, but we just said it's like a primitive thing and we do all the time. So, you're doing it. So I think I do make those judgments, but then I tell myself that isn't fair and I need to not have that judgment. And that's probably where it appears that I don't have the safety mechanism that you guys all have.
I think it's just that we're all shameful to admit that we have those biases or whatever it is, right? Rather than just owning who we are, we try to put some political spin on it or what's culturally acceptable, rather than just acknowledging it's human behavior. And
right, and I guess that's what I'm saying, right? You can't deny that you judge people based upon how they look, how they speak, how they walk.
But I think a lot of it, you and we've talked about this a lot. I mean, for me, it's gut instincts. Like to me, it's not sizing up. Are you pretty? Are you ugly? It's are you safe? Are you unsafe? I mean, I can literally walk up to a patient with what I do, and I've been doing it for a long time. But immediately, within seconds, go sick, not sick. Like you could be look sick as hell, and I can tell you there's nothing wrong with this person. Like,
So, okay, let's talk about that then. Do you think that you have, is that an ability that you just have, or is that an ability that you learn, or both?
I think it's a little bit of both.
I think it's a little bit of both, but I think again, as humans, we have a natural instinct, and I think we probably call it gut feeling. And I think it depends on whether you tap into that and allow it to help you versus in.
Yeah.
I'm not one to second guess it. Anytime I've overruled my gut or second guessed it, it's always been wrong.
Yeah, I think we've been told not to trust it or to not judge or whatever, so we don't pay attention to it. But most of the time, we're right. That gut feeling is usually right. Yeah.
See, mine is not always right though, so I don't
No,
understand.
no, your instinct is terrible. Your gut feeling is terrible.
I don't think it's terrible, but I don't understand how you guys just go.
So that's I
"No,
think
I'm
that's
gonna
why you're
always
cynical when
listen to
someone
it."
goes, well, something feels off, and you're like, well, what? Tell me exactly what it is.
Yes, because I don't understand that.
But
So,
that's like walking up to a depressed person and going, why are you sad? Like, it's the same thing. Like,
well, no, it is not. I mean, I
yes, it
understand
is
what
because
you're
it's
saying,
something
but
that it's a feeling and you can't necessarily put words to it or say why. It's
see,
just
well,
a
maybe it's
feeling.
because I don't always acknowledge feelings because I think that you can't always rely on those. So if someone walks in and maybe they just, I don't know, they had a really bad day or they have this look on their face, am I supposed to be like stranger danger because they're kind of scowly and I don't.
We need to take Sarah on a spiritual retreat, so that way she get in touch with her inner feelings.
Can you
get
imagine
better.
taking me on a retreat like that in the woods somewhere or something, and it's all I just don't think I could. I couldn't even do it at that conference. Like I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. I try. I really do try to embrace different things. In fact, it was interesting. We had a guest on the podcast. Do you guys remember when we had Dr. P on? And he works with all of
Yep.
the sports guys. Well, I went and toured his place, and I literally asked him a question. I said, do you have to believe in all of this stuff that you showed me for it to work? Because I don't think I can say that. I mean, in all fairness, I'm not trying to poo-poo anyone's ideas, but if I'm supposed to believe for it to work, then I don't know that it's going to work because I think I have to have it proved to me that it works to believe, right? It's that whole like cycle thing. I don't think I'm going to go, oh, because someone rings a bell, and I'm not saying that's not what he does, but it's a body, mind, soul thing. I think there are times I go, I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that? I mean, do you, and I think that maybe goes back to that whole thing of if I think someone is, I don't know, maybe they're not scary and that's just the way they look and they get judged all the time for that. And they're actually a very nice person. And so it's not like I'm not being safe. I think maybe I just don't have that gut instinct that, you guys say you do. So for me, I have to find it a different way. I don't know. If anyone is out there watching and you do not have apparently stranger danger like I do not, then please let me know. Because I would be curious. Like, am I the only one that doesn't? Do I just subdue it, or you don't have it as much as these guys do? Do you?
The stranger danger?
Well, like that gut instinct that Chip says is never. I don't understand how that's never wrong. How are you?
No, I do, but sometimes I ignore it and then I get in trouble for it. Because it always backfires.
But that goes back to the primitive brain that I was mentioning earlier when I couldn't figure out the words. We're hardwired as humans. Like, is that bear safe or unsafe? Is that guy going to club me over the head or not? Like, we're primitively wired to make judgments to protect ourselves. Yeah. It's not even always a judgment of she's pretty, she's not pretty, or whatever. Like,
I get the bear thing. I understand that concept. I mean, again, I didn't see it in the beginning in my defense one more time, but I do.
I didn't even bring the bear up.
Right. I don't know if you guys saw Greg's comment, but I think it's growth to know that you have to give someone a chance rather than judging. I think the question though is, and Greg, respond to this, what you think, but is it, yes, you do have to, but that first 5 seconds is going to happen no matter what, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't think we have control over the judgment thing.
I mean, you're sitting at a Starbucks. If someone walked in with a gun right now, you're like, oh, he's probably out goose hunting this morning. Like,
well, okay, it depends. Is it a rifle? I don't think he's out. If it's like a 9mm, If he has a hunting rifle and he's dressed in all camo, then I would be like, well, why didn't you leave your gun in the car? But maybe, I don't know.
On that note, I have to jump off. Goodbye.
I would not do the, if someone walked in with a 9mm, I would assume danger. So that is out of context.
Would you though? Would you?
Yes, I would.
You'd be like, oh, look at that shiny gun. Can I touch it?
I am good. No. I don't know. I just think it's really
You
hard
have to notice the gun first.
Oh, that's true.
That's the issue. I would not notice the gun at all. I don't.
You'd be like, look at those boots he's wearing. I'm like, no, look at that gun he's carrying. Like,
I'm horrible. In fact, I
Yeah.
just for 30, well, more than that. We've been on 35 minutes, and I've been here. Was here like 10 minutes before. Just now, I realize like I have not even looked at. I don't even know who's in the. I don't even know who's here. Like I haven't even looked around, and like I have no idea. I do that all the time. I'm terrible at it. So maybe that's part of it too. But I think we just have to, Drew, to your point, admit that we are human and we have that primitive kind of mind where we do make those judgments really fast. But then to Greg's point, I think you have to overcome those judgments and allow that. And I still don't think, I'm going to call bullshit, that you are always right with your gut instinct. I can't imagine that 100% of the time it is right.
I think it's right 110% of the time.
That is so.
I would agree. It's I think it's what it is for me is there's some people are more in tune to it than others that are not there. I believe it's in everybody, and it's once it's saved your life a few times, you start to listen, right? And so it takes a while to get there, but the more in tune you get to it, I think that's where Chip's saying like it's. If I ignore it, I'm going to be wrong. Or even if I'm, at least I'm listening to it, it's going to keep me protected in whatever regard that is. But some people just aren't in tune to listening to what it is inside them, telling them yay or nay to do it.
Well, and I think with your guys' jobs, former job and current or whatever, I don't think that's something that you turn off either, right? Like you had to go in and assess situations, and that's the first thing we're doing the BLS class today, and the first thing they teach you in that is assess the situation before you do anything. Is it safe for you to even go in, right? So right. I think you've had to learn some of that, but I still think there's just a natural innate ability that apparently I don't have that you guys have, because I think I could learn to pay attention to some of those things, but I don't think it's going to give me that gut feeling that I don't have. And Greg
for sure experience plays a role.
Well, correct. Yeah. Greg made a comment and said, what about the heavily tatted Harley rider who's a grandfather, dresses up as, like Santa Claus at Christmas, is the first that he's menacing or he's mean? I think back in the day, I would agree, Greg, that probably is now. I don't think that that's true anymore.
That feels more like a personal bias versus a first impression judgment, because like I like motorcycles and like I love tattoos. So like,
well, I
wouldn't make a bad judgment on someone based on that.
But I do think it was a weird cross in certain jobs, though, because remember, like in healthcare, you really didn't see very many tattoos.
The older generations weren't big on tattoos and things like that.
Yeah.
So, that was difficult. But like, to me, that's a bias thing that you're against those kind of things, or like you make assumptions based on those kind of things. And I don't think that's what we're talking about. Like, I don't make an assumption that you just, because you roll up on a Harley, you have tattoos, that you're in a gang. Like,
right. Well, and Greg said, depending upon where you grow up, sometimes that does make a difference. If you're in a, more of a
100%.
conservative, I can see that that's a big deal. I think here, like, it's funny because when neck tattoos started being a thing, I think the first couple of times I was like, wow, that's a commitment. That's like, it's on your neck. And now actually I kind of like them. I know that's bizarre.
Or, even like people do it with piercings and things like that, because people get piercings in really weird places and like,
Yeah, absolutely. I just think it's a good, I don't know. It was just an interesting topic to me to think of, how those lines go, and do we use compliments to get people's guard down, to get to know them a little more? Do we give compliments because we really think that, and some people are just easier at it? And is it a chemistry thing right away that in that minute, the barista and I made some sort of connection and there was a little chemistry, and so she felt comfortable saying that? Or was it just she says to everybody something nice when they order a coffee? I actually listened for a little bit to see, because I was like, well, it's not going to mean as much if the next 5 people get, hey, and she didn't. So it made me feel a little better. But I think that's true too in the, if we overdo it, then it's not going to mean anything, right? So there's that fine line. But I don't know. I'm going to try to be more complimentative when I think complimentative. Is that a word?
Complimentary.
Complimentary.
Yep.
I like complimentative. I'm going to try
Gotta make them a word.
when I think of
Sarah-isms.
things to say, right? Because I think of them and I don't say them, and then I miss an opportunity. So, Greg, I just always agree with the pretty women.
It can go
Well,
wrong
that
there.
works too. Yeah, you can't go wrong with agreeing with a woman. Let me tell you.
Unless
Well,
they,
just end on that
unless
note. I think that wraps it up. That is we started at compliments and we end on just always agree with a woman is always right.
it's a simpler way of life, I guess.
No, women are not always right. And neither is Guts. Neither is Chip's Guts.
Oh, yes, they are.
It's not always right.
You were wrong.
That's how we survive as men. You're always right.
Yeah, right. No, that is not true. Not true. Well, we hope you guys have a great weekend, and we will see you same place, same time on Monday. Have a good one.